What's up, guys? This is day 145. I haven't posted in a few days. I probably could have, but I didn't. Hit the gym, and it was kind of a crazy week. I was in a big, like, calorie deficit, sleep deficit, and I just. I felt more myself this, like, past couple of days, and I felt like I was actually able to train a little bit, so did some rehab. Um, I felt alright on Sunday, but actually a lot worse than I was hoping to. I think definitely pulling pretty hard at PAL, and then pulling the day after like inflamed my tendons a little bit. So I get this like weird bicep tendon pain when I like straighten my arm and supinate. Also feel it when I'm in a hook. Uh, so I'm just, but I know that one isn't as bad as the ligament thing I feel, which like takes longer to go away. And this is like not scientific. I'm just kind of guessing from my experience, but so I'm just gotta be a little careful, let it rest a little bit. So just hitting some rehab. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about rehab and like how I feel about it. I think like I think rehab is like almost like a misleading name because it gives the impression that it's optional and it's like something you do on top of everything else. But I feel that actually um, maybe you'll have better results doing rehab and table training once a week for 5 years than doing, heavy training instead once a week and no rehab whatsoever, or some combination like that. So I feel like in a way it's actually a very essential workout. Um, and I think it's almost counterintuitive, but I've just seen the results, and I know that I don't do much like heavy training. I try to every once in a while, but I know that like I haven't really like pushed myself with like hardcore programming, like some. And I've seen like for example, like the way Miguel used to write programs for me is way more intense, and I know like from when I was trying to lift heavy in high school, the types of like programs they have for powerlifting, Olympic lifting, stuff like that. So it's nothing like it, but I felt that I've still steadily progressed on the table. And even when you see Devin, you see his like whole like theory about like blood flow and about that like one study he read about recovery, and he's a big proponent of that, obviously. And Mendogas, I've been watching this for a long time, since when he posted those videos. But basically, what I gathered is that he does table training once a week, and then he does a band workout once a week, and then he does his like rehab circuit once a week. Um, and I think like maybe some other things go in there as well, like pull ups. But I really don't think he's lying or anything. I think it's just, um, it's almost like a compounding that is like negligible at the start, but over a long period of time becomes very significant, because what he's doing is he's making sure he's never taking a step back, but like he's never training something that isn't hopeful. Like he's not experimenting with stupid shit. He's not getting injured, so he's just always gain. And over a long period of time, I think it can really express itself. But at the same time, he's also definitely gifted for arm wrestling. Like he was, I think, giving Giannis a good match like when he was pretty new to the sport. So it's both things at the same time. But I saw that a while ago, and I didn't think much of it. But I never thought he was lying. But then when Coach Ray went and made a video with him, a lot of people were like, "Well, he's obviously not showing you all of his training." But I think that's, and people that say that about Devin too, I think that's a little bit like a low IQ observation. Like I don't think he'll has any some kind of like extreme like secret routine that he doesn't show. I think maybe people just underestimate like I said, compounding and like training smart versus like maybe intensity is a bit lacking in some of the workouts because it's so low weight in some, or it's not even probably that low weight, but um, more so it's movements that aren't like large like compound movements where you can push weight. um, like I always like to bring up this example, or even just think about it. When I was in high school, there were these two Chinese kids, and one was above my year, and then one was my year, and they didn't really like. They played basketball for fun, but they weren't really like into sports or anything. I started lifting my sophomore year, and I was in the weight room for about a year already, and then they started lifting. They started coming to the gym as well, and I remember at first I was like giving them advice on how to squat, and they were struggling to squat 2 plates, and I was like, you know, like I was basically like jumping with 2 plates, like, so I felt like, oh yeah, like these guys are not like my peers in the weight room. And then fast forward a few months, they get really into like powerlifting and Olympic lifting, and you start seeing like the SBD belts and the wraps, and you go to his room and you got all types of like protein powder, and I'm like, okay. And then fast forward a few more months, and they've started squatting 3 plates for reps, and I'm like, where the fuck did this happen from? And then fast forward another few months, they're squatting 4 plates, and they're benching 275, 315, and they're both like, one of them's probably like 170, the other's like 180, 185, and I'm sitting here at 200 pounds, and like I'm not hitting anywhere near the numbers. I've probably been about the same for like a year, maybe like 10% better, and they pretty much were outlifting every person in the school except maybe one or two. Like all the kids that like supposedly grind so hard, all the tough guys on the football team, the hockey team, these like two nerdy Chinese dudes just like got into it, started doing like small loft programming, and then just like grew in a way that was 3-4 times the rate of everyone else, just because they train with intention and a little bit of focus and a little bit of intelligence. So that can go a long way, really. So I will say always trust the process, and I think this rehab thing is very, very important, guys. So I'm really trusting in that, and I feel like it kind of goes counter to what I was saying earlier, because they were probably doing that like super high intensity training. But I don't know. I feel like for arm wrestling, maybe that's not the answer. But either way, the point is, if you feel like uh, there's a programming that works for you and you believe in, stick to it, trust the process, and you'll gain way more than anyone else. That's no matter what they're doing. If they don't have that conviction in what they're doing, you will surpass them always. So that's all. Thanks.